Welcome to Rock Solid Productions, where it is time to switch it up. We're going to look at the new releases hitting the Nintendo eShop for the Switch, ending May 12th. Gary here with Rock Solid Productions, and this is a new feature here on the channel recommended by Eric Lindquist, also known as the Viking Gamer. Thank you, Eric, for the idea. So each and every week we are going to look at the new releases coming out in the eShop for the Nintendo Switch. And this week is going to take us through May the 12th, 2018. So let's get started. We're going to grab, and we're going to look here in Shantae, the Genie Hero Ultimate Edition. And the cool thing about this is it basically takes what you love about Shantae and brings it all into one game. Basically with this, for $27, it'll be available on May the 8th. It includes all your previous DLC modes and costumes in this wildly popular action platformer. This has been a game that has been well loved for years, and you are also eligible for up to 135 coins in the eShop. That is something that they are adding as a feature, kind of like a Best Buy Reward Zone feature, but it's now available for the eShop games too. One thing, there is no demo available for this game. We will let you know when there are demos coming out. So that will be coming out May 8th. Also on May 8th is Death Road to Canada. And this one is $11.99, and it is aimed at basically replayability. Everything is supposed to be random on here. The story constantly changes. It's basically a zombie apocalypse, and you're going to hear this a couple times, survival type horror genre game. You can customize your own character. It is multiplayer, so you can play 2-player co-op, controlling up to 4 different characters at one time. Very much the NES Master System style graphics that we have on here. And again, this is $11.99, 1 or 2-player co-op, and it will be available on May the 8th as well. Next up is Raging Justice, and this is one that I'm sure that Smash JT will have a review up. I know he's got an early demo code of it. It reminds me very much of like a Streets of Rage meets a Pit Fighter meets a Final Fight in a lot of ways. It has very digitalized almost graphics, very similar to what Pit Fighter was back in the day. It's a beat 'em up. It's got really good graphics. So far what I've seen from some of the game mechanics, a little bit odd and different. This one is $13.49 and is available on May the 8th as well. And as far as players, it is 1 or 2 player as well. And we will have a link too if Smash JT, or actually when Smash JT posts his review, we will have that down below, or we might even throw it up there. Yeah, we'll throw it up there so you guys can check it out too. This next one is kind of odd. It's called Immortal Redneck, and basically the story behind this is you are a redneck on vacation in Egypt, and you fall asleep and you wake up and all of a sudden you're mummified and you are now fighting in ancient Egypt. You have over 50 weapons to choose from, and just a bizarre sort of game. It is 1 player only, and it is set up as a first-person shooter. There are 9 different classes of characters that you get to choose from. You do get to evolve your character. There are 35 different enemy types, and just kind of odd. For $19.99, don't know necessarily it's one that I would pick up out of the box, but you do earn 100 Nintendo coins on there, and this will be available on May the 10th. Up next is Super Chariot, and this one does have a demo available, and I've actually already downloaded it. It is $19.99 as well. And with this, basically, you are playing a 2D platformer that has 25 different levels, 5 environments, and you can have 2-player gameplay on here. And one of the neat things is it's 60 frames per second, so it should look really good on here. Basically, you are going to be wheeling the coffin of the dead king through these numbers of different levels. It almost reminds me of a Knuckles Chaotix type gameplay. I don't know if it's going to have the springiness back and forth or not, but this one will be coming out on May the 10th as well, and is also eligible for 100 coins in the eShop. Now this one here, there's a couple games that this one really reminds me of. Xevious is one of them. and that's probably the most common one I can think of. And this is called Terra Cresta. It is one of the arcade classics. It's $7.99 and is also coming out on May the 10th. It's a top-down shooter. It does have 1 or 2 player modes, and it's really designed to kind of give you that that mid-80s feel arcade shooter. This is one that I will probably pick up as well. And before the end of this video, I will tell you how you can save money each and every time you go and add money to the eShop, because you should not buy your eShop cards or add money right through your wallet on here. Next up is we have One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 Deluxe Edition. Is $39.99, is available May 10th as well. And this one will offer local co-op play and includes all the previous DLC from the previous games, and basically combines the original One Piece story with Dynasty Warriors. You get to re-experience Luffy's story from Fuchsia Village all the way to Dressrosa. This at that price, I haven't heard. I'm not a big fan of the series, I will admit that. This may have a physical release as well at $39.99. I would kind of hope that it would have a physical release too. Unfortunately, no demo mode on this, but seeing as it's kind of a collection of previous games, that doesn't really surprise me. Next one here, Suicide Guy, $7.99, available May the 10th. This is perhaps the oddest, most inappropriate named game ever, and they even have, I'm going to scroll down here, despite the title, the game is not at all about suicide or depression. The fact that they had to put that in there, maybe you should have picked a different name. Just throwing that out there for everyone. But Suicide Guy, $7.99. It is a 1-player game, and there are 25 different levels basically set inside your mind as you are essentially sleeping. There's levels where you're at a carnival, levels where you have to turn and twist a screwdriver to open up doors and everything. Really kind of an oddball sort of game. It is considered to be an action puzzler with 25 different levels. Some potential, but like I say, kind of a bad choice in names. Up next is Super Sidekicks. This is one of the Neo Geo classics. We don't have a virtual console, but hey, we get Neo Geo games. $7.99, May 10th. It's basically FIFA Soccer before FIFA Soccer was a thing from EA. Really good graphics for the time. The Neo Geo always had great graphics at the time as well. It is, of course, a multiplayer style game where you can play 1 or 2 player right on it. And this one will be available on May the 10th. The Fall is kind of a unique take on a shooter because it's not your traditional shooter. This is $6.99 and is available also on May 10th as well. Basically in this, you are the AI in a super suit. If you think of like Samus Aran's suit that she has in Metroid, imagine you can actually control the suit. That's what you're doing here as the AI is trying to get your human pilot, as it were, to safety, who has gotten hurt or somewhere along the line. Basically what you have is a flashlight, and if you use the white flashlight, you can use it to investigate things, and if they're friendly, good. But if they're hostile towards you, you can turn it to the red laser and you can actually attack people. This does have a 30% off discount right now, so depending on when you view this, this may actually be more than $6.99, but right now, before launch, you're looking at $6.99. The Garage is another survival horror type game where you play as a drug dealer named Butch. And essentially, it reminds me of the early Grand Theft Auto games, quite honestly, with that top-down perspective that it has. Like I mentioned, you play as Butch, and this is really the story that they've put behind it is if you love B horror movies, this is going to be kind of right up your alley. You're going to fight hordes of zombies in this game, and it's just really stylized. You can get a number of different weapons that you power up, and as you fight in this underground, basically, parking lot. So $14.99, available on May the 10th. 3/4 Home Extended Edition is $8.99, and it's one of those that is really highly rated by the Independent Games Festival. It was one of the finalists on there. So with 3/4 Home, you definitely get something unique where you're assuming the character of Kelly, who is driving home to Nebraska to move back in with her parents, and essentially you get a phone call 3/4 of the way home, and the way that you interact with the different characters, it's almost like a choose your own adventure in a little way, is the way that it seems. $8.99 and available on 5/10. Super Sentinel is on next, and that is going to be available on 5/11. And this is another one that very much reminds me of like Xevious or even Gunnak a little bit, where you get to power up your ship and fight horde after horde after horde of enemies in this arcade-style shmup. Again, it'll be available on 5/11. It is $12.99. It's one player only. Again, 60 frames per second as you go through and fight the alienoids. You get 3 different difficulty modes, 12 different levels, multi-graphics options. So one of the things that I thought was kind of neat, if we scroll down here, you actually have in the read more section, come on, there we go. Graphics options including the nostalgia-inducing Spectrum, C64, and CRT filters built right into the game. At $12.99, really a neat idea, and just the action and everything on here looks like this could be a lot of fun. And finally, we have a game that, this one's weird to me. So this is called Inksplosion. It's $3.99, and that's the introductory price that will last until May the 28th, 2018. And basically in this game, it's a twin stick style shooter, maybe like a Berserk or a Smash TV, and you do get 3 game modes, endless levels, 5 different weapons. It is only a 1-player game. The soundtrack was done by Levi Bond, and the voiceovers were done by Barry Dunn. Done by Barry Dunn. So this will be coming out on the 11th of May 2018, and at the introductory price of $3.99. So we have more coming out next week that we'll talk about: The Wizard of Legend, The Adventures of Elena Temple, Battle Chasers, Splitter Critters, a whole lot more coming up next week. If you do have any comments or questions, as always, feel free to leave them down below in the comments section. You can also send me your questions at rocksolidmail@gmail.com. We answer all of our emails. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Rock Solid Studios, or on our Facebook page at facebook.com/rocksolidproductions. Now, that's where one of our fans, like I mentioned earlier on in the video here, Eric Lindquist, the Viking Gamer, suggested, hey, why don't you do a weekly recap or overview, preview, whatever you want to call it, of what's coming out in the Nintendo eShop. So we do listen to what you guys want to see on the channel. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier that I have a way that you can save money on your eShop purchases. I've talked about this in the past in our gift guide for the Nintendo Switch, which you can check out right up there too. Don't pay or put funds and right in the eShop itself. If you're gonna do anything, get an eShop card from Target or Sam's. And if you use your Sam's Club card, you save off of that every time you purchase. If you use a Target debit or credit card, you save 5% on every purchase right off the bat, including gift cards. I go to Disney every year. That's how I buy my Disney gift certificates. That's how I buy my stuff for the PlayStation Store and for the Nintendo eShop, as I buy my Nintendo eShop cards through Target.com or through the Target stores themselves or through Sam's Club. It saves me money each and every time, and it can save you money too. Finally, speaking of money, if you do want to help support the future, nice segue, right, of Rock Solid Productions, you can go ahead and do so for as little as $1 a month over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/rocksolid. For just $1 a month, you can get early access to all of our video content, have exclusive one-on-one conversations with me. We have started now doing exclusive content just for our Patreon supporters as well. Again, that's patreon.com/rocksolid. And if you are looking to save a little bit more money and you're looking for retro gear, you're looking for extra chargers for your Switch, the grips, things along those lines, make sure you head on over to castlemaniagames.com. Visit my friend Ryan there. On all orders $20 and up, you get free shipping and handling. And on most items, if you use promo code ROX10, we'll even save you 10% on your entire order on most items. There are some exclusions that do apply there. So that is this week's Switch It Up. My name is Gary. This has been Rock Solid Productions. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. That way you are kept up to date when we have next week's Switch It Up here on the channel. I thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.